One afternoon, Paddy Conlon returns home from church expecting silence. Instead, he finds Tommy, the son who vanished years ago, standing at his door. The shock is immediate. Tommy tries to close the distance between them and offers him a drink. Paddy declines. He's been sober for 1,000 days. He invites Tommy inside and makes coffee instead. As they sit, Tommy glances around the room. Faded photographs cover the walls, each telling part of their family's story. One shows a young wrestler, undefeated in 1,000 matches. Another shows Brendan, his brother, now a quiet physics teacher with a wife and 2 daughters. Then Tommy's eyes stop on a photo of their mother. The sight hits him hard. Memories of her illness return, along with the pain of being left alone while Paddy drank and sailed away. 2 broken men, sharing one past. This is Warrior. Across town, Brendan celebrates his daughter's birthday. The laughter fades as his wife Tess prepares for another shift. They're both exhausted. Bills pile up, and the strain of survival is constant. Soon after, Tommy walks into a local gym. He's seen a news report about Sparta, an upcoming MMA tournament with a massive cash prize sponsored by billionaire J.J. Riley. Determined, he signs up and begins training immediately. At the gym, he watches Pete Mad Dog Grimes dominate every match. The owner, Colt Boyd, offers $200 to anyone who can beat him. Tommy steps forward. Colt dismisses him at first, seeing only a newcomer. But Tommy doesn't back away. He wants to fight. Reluctantly, Colt agrees. Seconds later, the crowd watches in disbelief as Tommy dismantles Mad Dog with precision and power. Someone records the fight and uploads it online. The clip spreads fast. Tommy becomes the name everyone is talking about. Meanwhile, Brendan's life takes a harder turn. At school, his students call him Mr. C, and they respect him. But once the bell rings, he faces a different reality. He's behind on mortgage payments after taking loans to cover his daughter's medical bills. The bank gives him 90 days before foreclosure. Despite 2 jobs, he and Tess are barely staying afloat. Late at night, Paddy sits alone, watching old home videos of Tommy as a boy. The memories play softly in the glow of the TV. Then, a knock at the door breaks the quiet. It's Colt. He wants answers. Tommy just destroyed his best fighter and now wants to join Sparta. Paddy listens without emotion, tells Colt to speak to Tommy directly, and turns back to the screen. Elsewhere, Brendan receives a call from his daughter asking when he'll be home. He tells her he's applying for a security job at a club, but the truth is different. Brendan walks into an underground fight ring and signs up to compete. 2 wins will pay what a month of security work would. In the cage, he wins with a clean grappling move. The crowd erupts as he walks away bruised but satisfied. Later that night, Tess is stunned by his battered face. She had believed the club job was simple and safe. Brendan hands her the cash and admits the truth. He's fighting again. The reveal hits hard. Brendan once fought in the UFC. The next morning, Tommy spots Paddy eating alone at a diner. He sits across from him and asks for help. Paddy agrees to coach him for Sparta, but only under strict conditions: no pills and a clean diet. Tommy doesn't argue. He throws away the pills and begins serious training. Back home, Brendan returns to class. During a lesson, a student mentions seeing him fight at a club. The bruises on his face confirm it. Afterward, he's summoned to the principal's office. Joe Zito doesn't hold back. Brendan's involvement in underground fights violates school policy. Teachers are supposed to set examples. Even so, Joe is shocked to learn Brendan was once a professional MMA fighter. That night, Brendan tells Tess everything. He's been suspended for 2 months without pay. The news weighs heavily on them, but Tess understands. Brendan stepped back into the ring to keep their family afloat. He's taken every hit for them. Determined, Brendan lays out his plan. Starting tomorrow, he'll return to the boxing gym. Each morning, he'll leave home dressed for work so the kids don't worry. The routine stays the same, but the stakes are higher than ever. Meanwhile, at a U.S. military base in Iraq, a soldier named Mark Bradford sees a viral video that freezes him in place. On screen, Tommy destroys Mad Dog in seconds. Mark rushes to his tent, grabs an old camera, and plays a tape. It shows his unit trapped inside a tank, under fire. Then, a Marine charges through enemy lines and rescues them. That Marine is Tommy, the same man now making headlines as a fighter, once a hero on the battlefield. The next morning, Brendan walks into a familiar gym owned by his old trainer, Frank Campana. It has been years since they last spoke, not since Brendan got married. Frank is surprised but pleased to see him. In the office, Brendan explains his situation. He's deep in debt and fighting to keep his family together. Frank understands, but he has his own struggles. The gym is barely surviving, and he's waiting on a loan to stay open. Brendan isn't there for money though. He wants to fight again. Underground matches. Enough to help his family make it through. Frank agrees without hesitation and even waives the fee. Brendan is back in training. Later that day, Brendan returns home and finds Paddy waiting outside. The sight brings back old pain. Like Tommy before him, Brendan refuses to let Paddy in. Paddy mentions he's training Tommy now. For a brief moment, Brendan feels something close to relief, but anger takes over. Paddy always favored Tommy, always overlooked him. Without a word, Brendan turns away. Paddy stays on the sidewalk, watching his grandchildren from a distance, regret clear in his eyes. The next morning, Tommy arrives at Colt's gym and learns that both he and Mad Dog have been accepted into the Sparta tournament. After hearing the news, Tommy makes a call to Pilar Fernandez, the widow of his best friend Manny, who died in combat. He tells her his plan. He'll fight for the prize money and give it all to her and Manny's children. With 1 month left before Sparta begins, the competition tightens. 16 fighters are confirmed, including Koba, a brutal powerhouse from Russia with an undefeated record. Training becomes relentless. Under Paddy's strict supervision, Tommy pushes his limits daily, never resting. 4 days before the tournament, Brendan goes back to Frank. He's made a decision. He wants to enter Sparta. Frank is taken aback. He already registered another fighter, Marco, and Brendan is past his prime. But Brendan makes it clear that this is his only chance to save his home. Frank recognizes the desperation and agrees to appeal. The following day, Tess answers a call from Frank. Brendan's appeal is approved. He's officially in Sparta, replacing Marco. Brendan is relieved, but Tess is frightened. She knows the risks of the ring. Facing fighters like Koba could end badly. She admits she can't bear to watch. Soon after, Brendan and Frank attend the official Sparta press conference. 16 fighters line the stage. Brendan scans the room and freezes. Tommy stands among them. The shock is immediate. Years have passed since they last met. For a brief moment, it seems they might reconnect, but Tommy looks away before Brendan can speak. The silence between them says more than words ever could. That night, sports networks explode with a breaking story, and Paddy watches every second. A soldier named Mark recounts a memory from Iraq. One of the Sparta fighters, Tommy, once carried out a daring rescue, opening the hatch of a trapped tank and saving his entire unit. Mark never had the chance to thank him. After that mission, Tommy vanished. Later, Tommy walks along the beach and unexpectedly crosses paths with Brendan. They sit together for the first time in years. The air is heavy. Tommy speaks about the pain he's carried, about being left behind after their mother's death while Brendan built a new life with Tess. Brendan listens and tries to explain, but the distance between them remains. The years have hardened the space that once felt like family. The next day, students at Brendan's school approach Principal Joe with an idea. They want to host a group watch party for the Sparta tournament as a fundraiser. Joe rejects it immediately, saying MMA is too violent to promote. The disappointment is clear, but his decision stands. When tournament night finally arrives, the arena shakes with energy. Lights flash, crowds cheer, and cameras follow every move. The opening fight features Tommy against Barbosa, a skilled French contender. Tommy wastes no time. He overwhelms Barbosa with raw power, ending the match in seconds. His intent is clear. He's not there to compete, he's there to dominate. In another corner of the arena, Brendan sits in the locker room, silent and tense. His hands shake as the weight of the moment settles in. Seeing this, Frank acts fast. He asks the organizers to play Beethoven as Brendan enters the ring. The familiar melody calms him. His breathing steadies. Focus replaces fear. Brendan's opponent is Midnight Orlando, known for his knockout punches and relentless pressure. But what Orlando doesn't expect is Brendan's endurance, his ability to take punishment and keep fighting. At home, Tess folds laundry, glancing at her phone between each movement. Worry clouds her thoughts. She's waiting for news. The bell rings. The first round begins. Joe watches from home, tense. Orlando dominates early, landing heavy strikes and forcing Brendan to the mat. He traps him in a chokehold that looks impossible to escape. Brendan refuses to quit. He endures until the bell ends the round. Round 2 begins. Brendan adjusts his approach. He takes measured hits, stays on his feet, and waits for his chance. When the moment opens, he drives Orlando down and locks in an armbar. Orlando taps. The wind sends a wave through everyone watching. Paddy is overcome with emotion. Joe sits speechless, still processing what he saw. Tess reads Brendan's message and tears up. Then she makes her choice. For the next fight, she will be there, not from the sidelines, but watching her husband face the world again. The next match sent shockwaves through the arena. Koba, the ruthless Russian, stepped into the cage and ended his fight with a clean, devastating knockout. Moments later, Mad Dog earned a win of his own and glared straight into the camera, making his message clear: he was coming for Tommy. Brendan entered next, fighting for a spot in the semi-finals. He stayed composed and relied on his strength, grappling. The strategy worked. He secured another victory. At home, Tess watched every moment, her relief and pride clear. Then it was Tommy's turn. One explosive strike ended the match instantly. The elimination round was over. Only the strongest remained. The next day, Paddy met Tommy at a casino, hoping to mend their fractured relationship. He tried to reach out, but Tommy pushed him away, bitter and angry. The wound between them was still open. Later that night, Tommy returned to camp and found Paddy drunk, slumped over, and listening to a sermon. Years of guilt had finally broken him. For the first time, Tommy saw real remorse. Quietly, he stayed near, offering silent understanding. In that moment of weakness, Paddy confessed his love for both his sons. Soon, the semi-finals began. Tommy faced Mad Dog first. The tension was high, revenge was in the air. As soon as the bell rang, Tommy attacked with full force, overpowering Mad Dog in seconds. The fight was fast, ruthless, and decisive. Next came Brendan's biggest challenge yet, Koba. The arena was packed, and this time, Brendan wasn't fighting alone. His students gathered at a public screening. Even Principal Joe was watching. In the crowd, Brendan spotted Tess. She had come to see him fight. The bell rang, and Koba charged forward, throwing heavy punches. Round 1 ended with Brendan staggering. Round 2 followed the same pattern. Koba pressed relentlessly while Brendan endured. He absorbed hit after hit but refused to quit. Before the final round, Frank pulled him aside and reminded him of what was at stake. No money meant no home, no stability for his family. Brendan nodded. He knew what he had to do. As the last round began, Brendan stayed calm. He waited for an opening, then seized it. He brought Koba down and locked in a chokehold. Seconds later, Koba tapped. The crowd erupted. Brendan had won. He was going to the finals. Moments before the championship fight, breaking news swept through the arena. Reports confirmed that Tommy was a missing Marine who had gone AWOL after witnessing his friend Manny's death in Iraq. Military police were already waiting to arrest him after the fight. Even so, Tommy's mission was clear. If he won, every dollar would go to Manny's widow. Then came the revelation no one saw coming. The final fight would be between brothers, Tommy and Brendan. The crowd fell silent in disbelief. In the waiting room, Tess pleaded with Brendan to walk away, but he couldn't. Quitting meant losing everything, and the only way forward was to fight. Moments later, the lights dimmed, the arena roared back to life, and Brendan stepped into the cage. The bell rang, signaling round 1. Tommy charged forward with relentless force, unleashing a barrage of strikes. Brendan had no chance to counter, only to endure. When round 2 began, the pace intensified. Tommy fought with fury, every hit driven by years of buried anger. By round 3, Brendan finally found his moment. He caught Tommy's arm and locked in an armbar. Still, Tommy refused to tap. Brendan had no choice but to apply pressure until the shoulder gave way just as the round ended. Tommy cried out in pain, but when asked if he could continue, he didn't hesitate. He was still in the fight. Round 4 opened with uncertainty. Brendan hesitated, unwilling to keep hurting his brother. He tried to hold back, but Tommy refused to stop. With no other choice, Brendan struck again. By the end of the round, both men were barely standing, bruised, exhausted, and broken by more than the fight itself. Then came the final round. Tommy, injured and fading fast, could no longer keep up. Brendan closed the distance, brought him down, and locked in a chokehold. It was decisive, the end was clear, yet Tommy still refused to surrender. In that moment, Brendan leaned in and spoke softly. He told Tommy he loved him. Those words broke through where fists could not. Tommy froze, then finally tapped. The arena erupted in applause. Brendan had won the tournament, but the victory meant more than a title. In that ring, something lost had been found again. In the stands, Paddy watched with tears in his eyes, filled with pride and relief. His sons, once divided, had finally come home to each other. Moments later, Brendan helped Tommy to his feet, supporting him as they left the cage together. The fight was over, but what mattered most had already been restored, and with that, their story reached its quiet, hard-earned peace. So the moral of the story is no matter how many punches life throws, family drama still hits the hardest, but saying "I love you" is the real knockout move.